Greetings on this Gregorian calendar day of March 20th, 2024. I am Nintushi Gilmore Bay, here in For Life, a living, sentient indigenous woman. This will be a recording of my oral statement regarding my experiences with Toriano, Abashango L, from the Bloodright Heirs community and other associated men and women in this group. During this oral statement, other names and or organizations, groups, etc., may be spoken on that may be linked to and or associated with in some form, whether directly or indirectly. Be forewarned that this oral statement may be that of a long one. I will not rush through this, and be forewarned that I may experience different emotions, but they are my emotions that I have a right to feel and express. The purpose of this oral statement is to inform and state the facts of these matters and bring light to a situation meant for malice intentions. I have a spiritual duty to uphold truth and invoke justice. My peace and well-being is a priority for me, and I do not and will not engage with people who are predators, deceitful, high truths, dishonorable in their actions, toxic, abusive, oppressive, violate the divine and natural laws, and just ill-mannered. Okay? I wanted to put my divine image on camera first before I delve into my oral statement. I am a spiritual being, a living example of peace, love, and truth here in the physical plane, protected and guided by my ancestors, ascended masters, spirit guides, creatress and creator that are very predominant in my life, here to protect me and guide me to my divine life's purpose and mission. I declare and affirm on this Gregorian calendar day, March 20th, 2024, that this oral statement is without malice or mischief, and only in sincerity and honor under penalties and perjury and execution under the divine laws, the natural laws, and the supreme laws of the land, that the oral statements made in this recording are true, correct, complete, not misleading, and certain to the best of my informed knowledge. My word is my bond, tendered in truth and honor. With that being said, I'm going to start with, I have different topics to kind of guide me. So before taking the 11 steps of the Bloodright Heirs group, that's the topic we're going to start with. So if you will excuse me for a moment, I'm going to kind of maneuver. Peace. Okay. Around mid-February 2019, I ended up meeting up with about 11 other Michigan Moors that were on a like-minded mission to find solutions for liberation and justice, and just supposedly assist one another. This meeting was called by a man named Rabani, someone that ended up assisting me and my family with an illegal eviction, helping me move my belongings into a storage. Another man that came to assist was named Parrish. I dealt with racist home managers and out of state pale skin couple that I was renting a 3-bedroom duplex from at that time. When I first moved in, literally within that same week, the man attempted to force me to give a neighbor my house key to allow them to let someone in for a needed repair. And, we were discussing a good day and time, which I was willing to, rearrange my schedule to be there. But he wanted to do it like, I guess, that day. And he wanted me to give the neighbor my key. So when I refused, he was very irate and disrespectful and threatened to evict me at that moment until I informed him that I knew the eviction process and the rights pertaining to, and that if he tried to do such, it would have an adverse effect on him. He knew that his tactics were illegal and realized that I wasn't an ignorant, melanated woman, which made him even more agitated. This was the first sign. Although the home appeared to be in great condition on the surface, I ended up finding mold that was just painted over. I had to report this to the city after they refused to address the issue and they expected me to come out of pocket to address the problem. Moving forward to the end of the lease, the woman asked me if I wanted to renew the lease. We ended up contracting for another year, and only a late fee clause was added that wasn't in the first lease. But it wasn't until I gave them a copy of my nationality document that made them want me out of there by any means necessary. So, after not paying a late fee with the rent, they immediately gave me a 7-day notice. This was in the first or second week of me signing the new lease. And this was just the start of a nasty eviction. Okay. During this time, we were with a radical group referenced as MAC, the Moorish American Consulate. Some of you may have heard of them. And they claimed to have had a Moorish court that could assist Moors with any illegal matters by first remanding the case to them. MAC also was known for doing liens with their verbiage and letterhead and giving instructions to other Moors on how to do it. One thing that I ended up noticing that these liens did not have a valid claim they did not go through an administrative process, giving the other party notice and an opportunity to cure the dishonor before filing a lien. Anyway, um, after I received the revelation about Mac, I removed myself from being associated with them. Some other Michigan located Moors still wanted to associate themselves. I made it clear verbally and in writing that I was no longer associated with Mac. Me and other Michigan Moors held frequent meetings to discuss and plan how to address their legal issues administratively. A few had constant run-ins with police, and I would assist them with drafting court documents such as motions, etc., and would even support them during court hearings. If it wasn't a true, as long as it wasn't a true crime. Um, so they would show their gratitude by gifting, me finances at their own will. And I was the one to mail notices for them on their behalf. So I was entrusted with finances to cover office supplies and postage and for gas, etc. We later spoke about forming our own nation that I knew I would have to spearhead, but it was my preference to ally with an honorable group that was already further ahead and established. So I spoke a lot about Toriano from the Bloodright Heirs. Some of the others were uncertain, being concerned about taking the DNA test. So we started with making our meetings more official by selecting each other for positions with intentions to move towards forming a nation of our own. This consisted of everyone first affirming to and signing an affidavit of allegiance to show commitment, trust, and loyalty, and to eliminate any deceptive intentions. And then we were going to discuss how we were going to move forward thereafter. So I scheduled a meeting and scheduled for a notary to meet up with us. The notary was Usier, someone that I had been using, known for years, for about 5, 6 years, something like that. And he notarized a lot of documents for me within that time. Um, at this time, it was only myself, Parrish, Daniel, and his wife, Shatina, meeting regularly. When the couple seemed to have a problem with moving forward with the affidavit in the middle of the meeting, and at this time the notary hadn't arrived yet, and we were to affirm aloud to the affidavit, and then once the notary arrived, we would just sign, and then he would notarize it. So I stood and affirmed first. Okay, I spoke, what was on. I read the affidavit. I stood and I read the affidavit aloud. And once I finished, no one else stood, to go after me. Instead, the couple attempted a delay tactic. And this caused us the inability to move past the affirming stage because the couple had their own hidden agenda. Um, I decided not to move forward with them because of their hidden agenda and the lack of transparency. I pretty much smelt a rat. Okay. Um, and it had appeared that they had changed the affidavit, you know, altered it in some way because they didn't know that we were going to stand and speak the affidavit, affirm aloud. They didn't know that. So when they saw that that was how it was going to go down, they couldn't do that because some things had been changed. So the notary seer walked in on me and the other female having an aggressive dialogue. Okay. And Usir said he was shocked because he had never seen me upset or raised my voice over the 5+ years he's known me. And I kind of expressed to him once I left, what transpired and, just my frustration. So, like I said, I don't deal with people, I deal with their energy. So I know this is spiritual. So now, Parrish reached out to me at some point, and we eventually moved into a romantic relationship. I told him that I was moving towards joining the Bloodright Heirs, and he decided for us to do it together, to start the process together. Parrish started showing signs of erratic and dysfunctional behavior that startled me, and his behavior seemed to be working against me. I learned that he was deceptive and was speaking negatively behind my back. After a physical attack by Parrish, I left him and I never looked back. He was upset with me because I did not draft a specific negative averment for him for a court hearing. He ended up not going to the court hearing and found later that they placed a warrant on him. He became violent, blaming me and yelling things about me that weren't true. He then physically attacked me and threatened to shoot himself in the head, attempting to hold me hostage to force me to do this specific negative averment. was trying to walk out. So eventually, um, I was able to, leave out, and I just never, I never looked back. I was gone, and I meant, I meant it. Later, so he was texting me constantly, back to back to back to back to back to back, and I didn't notice his texts because I wasn't, engaging. Um, I did draft up an affidavit, so that caused me to have to go back and, print out the texts and read them. And then that's when later I found a text where he made a statement that quoting the temple, that's why the temple have a hit on you. Now, I constantly inform Parrish going back to this specific negative environment thing. I constantly informed Parrish that he would have to take the time and sit with me to make an effort and interest in his own matters, and that I was not going to do it on my own. This was me making him take responsibility for his matters, and he did not. I am not in the business to be misused and take someone from their accountability. There was needed information and questions that had to be asked in order to even draft the specific negative permit. So when Parrish did not take the initiative, I stopped taking the initiative. I stopped reminding him, we got to sit down and do this. We got to get it out. We still have time, so let's not wait to the last minute. Blah 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 blah. He's like, okay, 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 and it just never got done. So I stopped speaking on it, and it never got done. So during Parrish's and I relationship, I felt that he wasn't being honest with me about some possible extracurricular unhealthy activities that he may have been into. And I asked him for his honesty that he did not give. However, when a tower hit on around, well, there was a couple of things that happened, with him being erratic in his behavior. But this particular day, on or around the 25th or 27th of June 2020, during the physical attack, I took the opportunity to permanently remove myself from his reach, and that is all I will say about that encounter. Now, prior to me taking Toriano's 11 steps, my contact with him was to ask if I could use some of the verbiage from his abstract title to acquire a home that I was looking into. Toriano stated yes. So on May 2nd, 2020, I reached out to him, stating, Grand Rising, noble brother. I am reconnecting and trusting that all is well with you and your cipher. I am usually very slow of doing things. I am unusually very slow of doing things due to financial restraints, but grateful for movement. I was able to get my DNA accomplished, just got my results back, and awaiting a follow-up from the brother Tyrone. Haven't been able to get all of my silver as of yet, but trusting that will change within the next week or sooner. I have attached my UCC-1 filed in December of 2019 and want to ask for you to review it. I am open to any constructive criticism. Now, one concern is whether I should have done it with me and my children on one question. Will this suffice? Question mark. Also, I had to get creative and file electronically because have had several problems and refusals when filed by mail. I had to find a way to create a joiner between the UCC and the SA and the other needed documents. The SA is the security agreement. Oh, I have been working diligently to get a home for my family. We have been displaced for over a year now, and I found a few abandoned homes to choose from that I will be placing a claim on. I am going the abstract title route. Do you have any objections with me utilizing your abstract title? Connect, inshallah. Be well and be peace. On May 4th, 2020, he responded, greetings, peace and love. I pray all be well with thee. The UCC looks fine. I have no problems with you using the AOT. Toriano Abashengo L. On June 26, 2020, I informed him about my experience with Parrish. And he wanted me to call him. So he gave me his number to ask, why was I connected with him? So I called him and we had that dialogue. And I just basically expressed to him, that is just was, something that I had to deal with, me connecting with someone. I didn't know that, and I still didn't know what he was into. I was just speaking on the physical attack. Um, and so seeing that it was a negative situation and toxic and negative situation, I removed myself from it immediately. So anywho, on September 16, 2020, um, I was ready to move forward with the bonds process. And I had questions and I asked for him to call me. He wanted me to email him, so I did. I emailed him the questions. And he stated, please email me your questions, family. Due to the workload and time constraints, I'm relegated to phone consultations. So I sent him the following questions. I want to ask a few questions before sending info and notes for the silver bonds. I am asking for full disclosure. I have had horrible experience in the past and information was deliberately withheld. However, I do trust you are set apart from the dishonorable ones. Gratitude for bringing the truth to the people regardless of some not receptive. I appreciate you in the Raw podcast with you and the two brothers was on point. So my questions were, one, is this UCC separate from the UCC one for the Islages? What state would it be filed in? Will I have full access to the file UCC after it's filed? Because I'm wondering, and the reason why I asked the first question, because I already placed a, security interest on the straw. And I wanted to make sure this wasn't going to interfere with that. Then I asked, are they filed online or by mail? Who will be the listed secured parties? Are these UCCs conveyed into the Bank Shai Yukansu MMFFS Trust? And by the way, he stated no, that it was not. Will my property be listed for protection? Will my heirs be protected under this bond? I have two at the age of majority and one minor. I've had 3 SS cards with 3 different names, birth name, and then a legal change name, and then one added Bay, a common law change name with my Bay title. Which SS card name should I be sending you? Emailed requested information and paid for I'm sorry. So them questions, he called me to answer the following questions. He didn't answer them by email. So the email requested information and paid for the bonds. On 10/25/2020, I received the bonds for recording. It's a process of steps that you just have to go through. December 23, 2020, I reached out to get assistance to close out the process as instructed. I was given Timothy Williams' Bay number and directed to contact him. From there, Timothy assisted me. January 17, 2021, I sent over all requested information and paid for an allodial title and proclamation with the transaction number to Arlinda Blackwell L. And stating that it would take 6 to 8 weeks, So I waited patiently. No problem, I'm not in a rush. But I never received them after that, within that time frame. And I didn't hear anything within that time. So I waited 6 to 8 weeks. I waited actually 10 weeks before I reached out and followed up. So on March 23, 2021, I followed up. CC and Toriano, I followed up with Arlinda Blackwell L. And the email says, "Greetings, Sister Arlinda Blackwell L. Trusting all is well with you and your cipher. I am following up regarding the subject matter, which the subject matter was the titled Illegal Title Proclamation. You mentioned you may be able to complete these documents before the 6 to 8 weeks time frame, but I guess it was decided otherwise. However, it has been over 10 weeks now since I sent the $155 and requested information for the allodial permit and proclamation. What is the status on these documents?" She responded on the 29th of March saying, "Greeting, sister. I never received your information from the beginning. That is why I haven't completed your documents. Now that I have your information, I will complete your documents tonight and send them over to Obashango L tonight. Apologize for the confusion and thank you for your patience. Peace and love, Arlinda." So now, that was fine if that's what it was, no biggie. Things happen. But she did confirm to me via text that she received everything. So when I got this response, it was a little bit confusing. So going forward, I emailed on April 2nd, 2021. I emailed Toriano to speak on the delay. Toriano wanted to speak with Arlinda on the phone. He stated that he do not speak on people unless, basically he have them present to state their side, whatever, which I had no problem with. Arlinda stated that I did not send over the information requested. I confirmed to her that I did and read a text that she confirmed of her receipt of everything. Arlinda said that she did not receive any of my emails and she checked her spam and no emails from me were there either. So, however, we got that squared away. She did confirm again that she did have the information and she was going to be working on those documents that I paid for. So then, and for some reason, I think that she said they were going to be sent over that night and, things were going to be finalized at night. But however, April 9th, 2021, I sent a follow-up regarding the allodial title again to make sure I didn't miss any communication. And I just because she said she had been receiving my emails or, or whatever. So anyway, I ended up, I think Toriano responded that same day saying that he was sending them out or working on them that day. And he was going to send them out that day or something like that. So I received the documents around May 2021, something like that. Okay. So now, July 7th, 2021, I recorded them in the Wayne County, with Wayne County, Detroit. Toriano preferred me to record them in Arkansas when no one said that it was a preference. That wasn't a discussion that was had. So then Toriano stated that recording them in both places was no problem. But, okay, now I'm basically coming out of a total of 800 notes for that to take place. However, on August 21, 2021, I recorded the documents in Arkansas, and then I emailed Timothy as instructed. So Timothy then emailed Toriano, Antoine Bay, Alif L, and Terrell Bay to inform them that I was ready to be placed on the census and in the private Facebook group. Okay? So now the next topic is after completion of the 11 steps and now a so-called Bloodright heir. So during this time, I witnessed some things that I didn't like and how some people were being treated and talked to. It seemed that a selected few were the only ones having success with getting their foundation set. Toriano asked everyone to send their skills and a resume to a young lady named Rayan, Rayani, or something like that, which I did on August 25th, 2021. Okay. Answering the call for a typist for the Constitution. On September 28, 2021, I answered the call by Antoine Bay for the need of a typist to assist with the Constitution. According to Anton Amos Bay, I was the only one to answer the call. After working diligently with Toriano's team on the Constitution, I also participated in the structure of it. Often during the meeting, it was a lot of time being misused by having silent moments of over an hour or more, at times. And I would ask, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? You know. So anyway, around March 26, 2022, a young lady named Nova Marie Heiza L attended one of the Constitution meetings. And while I'm in position, ready to proceed, for that day as a typist, I had the document pulled up, sharing it with everyone. She mentions when should she start typing or something like that. Bringing her in as a typist was done without me ever being informed. So I asked, well, who is the typist, me or her? Because you can't have two people working on the same thing at the same time. And Antoine said me. So whatever was going on, it was deceptive energy by people too weak to speak up, throwing stones and hiding their hands. And I believe a leaf, you know, and whoever else was working with him was behind that. So the deception was unnecessary and it was just a misdirection of their energy because if they wanted me to step down, all they had to do was just address it, address me accordingly with their calls. And I would have gladly moved out the way no matter what their reason was. I don't work behind another and I don't like anyone coming behind me because this is where confusion, redundancy, which causes stagnancy comes in. And I don't work like that. Like Antoine Bay said, no one else answered the call, and no one after me being committed and relentlessly showing up. And now, my apologies. Now, after me being committed and relentlessly showing up from the beginning, sharing over 4 to 5 hours of my time during each meeting, they want to blindside me with someone else just stepping in. Okay. So now the business and commercial law class. Around September 13, 2021, I participated in a business and commercial law class that was suggested for all new Bloodright heirs. This class was facilitated by a Jabir Bay, typically on Monday evenings. The needed materials for the class was given by Jabir via email upon request. So I requested the materials to be emailed to me on several occasions, and Jabir ignored my request every time. There was a lot of underlying energy that no one felt the need to communicate. So whatever the problem was, it was biased and deceptive in nature. Jabir did let me know that he knew officials of the Temple 13 in Maryland that I was associated with in the past. When I left the temple, it was said by the Sheikist, whom was the national director of the Children's Sunday School, and I worked very close with, that it was that it upset a lot of the officials, and there was a lot of lies and negative talk being said about me, which I kind of expressed to her that it didn't matter to me. I didn't care because I was not going to let that stop me from leaving, and I was not going to go back and forth with people about lies. I ended up writing a rescission and revocation letter to the Grand Sheik, who is Joan Braxton Bay. And, thereafter, I encountered problems after leaving the temple, I encountered problems with the state of Michigan regarding a court name change that I bought for me and my children from the temple to get state identifications. So the state DMV accused me and my youngest son of fraud because of the documents we gave, but an ID, when we presented it at the time, was given um, to me and my son. So thereafter, I kind of just, I addressed it administratively with the state official that was making these claims, and they would not prove the claim. They would not give me the documents to support the claim upon my request, and they just wanted to say that we committed some form of fraud um, that we didn't commit. So that's how that was. So now I'm, was going back and forth with them about that, and it never got addressed. I did end up doing a administrative process on that particular state agent, and with a notary presentment. Okay. Um, and so now we're going into womb code. That is the name of an internal group with the Bloodright Heirs. So also during this time around December 2021, I joined an internal group called Womb Code, facilitated by Gloria Lynn Oliver L. and a group of other women. I felt that the women in the group was very toxic with a mean girl and devious disposition. They, excuse me, they preferred to spend most of the call wasting time with no direction. There was no leadership, so the meetings were useless and unaccomplished most of the time. Gloria was attempting to guide people in establishing their executrix position, but there was never any real progress during the Zooms. So I brought a plan to Gloria that could assist with progress and an easy 1, 2, 3 step to accomplish this goal and to structure her platform to be more official. Gloria was interested, and she okayed the idea because she said that Reginald Fields L. Bay wanted her to progress and, have progression in this, because I guess he kind of was in the back scenes with that whole executor and executrix process. And she wasn't having much success with it. So she was on board with my idea. So we called a meeting with the other women and voted amongst one another to be placed in official positions. As the secretary, I developed a curriculum using the things that were already in place by Gloria Reginald Fields L. Bay and Timothy Williams Bay. Gloria and other women were debating during a meeting whether they should allow other Bloodright heirs into the Womb Code group or keep it amongst them. Most objected to opening the group up to others to assist them. And then I voiced in so many words that hoarding was the energy of lack and selfishness, and it's not an energy of abundance. However, I didn't care what they decided. As time progressed, people were speaking endlessly behind my back. Gloria admitted that people were complaining to her about me in the process. Gloria was known to overstep her boundaries and try to speak for me, and I spoke with her about this on more than one occasion in the past. After commenting in the Facebook group regarding a question that was addressed to me, Gloria decided to answer on my behalf. And I briefly spoke on how I could no longer work with the circle of deceptive people. Okay. Um, then, let's see, I think prior to that, I Was this the same day? Yeah, this was the same day. Actually, that morning, Melissa Lotus, she was in the womb code group. And I forgot what her position was. Was she interchangeably one of the moderators? But anyway, she emailed me that morning, and this is her email verbatim: Grand Rising. I was asked to send our Zoom recording from our meeting last Sunday to you for distribution. I will share the link via my drive, and you should be able to download it. Thank you. So this email was sent after me, I guess reaching out to Gloria, and she was having, I guess, one of her moments that she would so often have. And so I wasn't getting any feedback or response from her because, mind you, at this time I had just dealt with the whole police violation, okay? And, you know, just getting myself back on, course with things within my household and, with these connections here. So, and then I responded to her, CCing Toriano and including Gloria. Sad away, Melissa, trusting all is well with you, Sorrel. You were asked by whom? Question mark. I've added Gloria and I CC'd Chief Toriano to this communication. Gloria, I've made several attempts to connect with you and you have not responded, whether intentional or unintentional. Keep in mind, energy can be felt and I deal with energy. There is a disorder, disrespect, gossip, envy, dysfunctional communication, etc., that goes on in this space, and it is very low vibrational. To let it be known, I am aware that Darlene Choice's name, which is in parentheses moderator, was displayed as author on a past timeline that I drafted, either because she attempted to make changes or she changed her name as author. However, not only is this disorderly, it is deceitful. Also, I've been kept out of communication as a secretary. Spirit led me to assist in the matter that I did. I always come to a space where I ask how I can be of assistance and I allow Spirit to work through me. And that is the only way I move. Because of my divine purpose and the abundant space I am in, I cannot and will not expend my energy in any space that is in violation of the Ma'at principles and or any other divine laws. With that being said, I will no longer be the secretary for the Project Womb Code platform while my work is done here. The Holy Prophet said, Moors, study yourself. Self-work is key. Make it an amazing day. Carpe diem. So that took place that morning. And then now going back to where I left off about a question that was asked to me that Gloria decided to address. That was sometime in the, early afternoon. So after that, Toriano wanted to speak with me and Gloria. Okay. And this is when Gloria decided to share that people had a problem with me in the steps, the executor executrix steps. And she said that to me and Toriano, she said that people were calling me, quote, stern, okay, and made comments that they felt that they were in school with the executor and executrix steps that I had in place. This was so beneath me, okay, this is very beneath me. And so Toriano told Gloria, that this was backbiting and, I have a right to face my accusers. So she told Gloria, she gave a directive to Gloria to call a Zoom meeting for me to face my so-called accusers. and for Gloria to require everyone that is involved and have said anything about me behind my back to be on that call. So she scheduled a Zoom. Um, Before I go farther into this, I want to mention when Toriano and Gloria had an open meeting about Gloria's outburst towards Toriano and the situation she was dealing with him, or was dealing with a personal situation she was dealing with. Thereafter, Gloria kind of spoke of Toriano and how he was evil and she was placed on probation of some kind and was no longer entitled to $1,000 payment to Bloodright Heirs that I don't think anyone knew anything about. She also mentioned how the women that worked with him, like Arlinda and others, threw her under the bus and how she was mistreated by them. Okay, so now we're going to the meeting with Gloria. So Gloria called this meeting directed by Toriano, sending invites to me, Darlene, Eva, um, Toriano, Melissa, and Janice. I was sent a Zoom link at 2:34 p.m. on February 15, 2022 to start at 2:30 p.m. So now after I brought attention to this, Melissa sent another link at 3:27 p.m. for the meeting to start at 4 p.m. So during the meeting, I was called out of my name by Gloria, belittled, and Gloria's moderator, Darlene Choice L, was biased in her position as the moderator. When Gloria would get irate, she would mute me while I was speaking instead of Gloria, who was speaking out of turn and in a belligerent manner. I allowed Gloria to speak without interruption, even when she spoke malice towards me. But I did not get the same respect, and Darlene kept muting me, but not Gloria, when she was irate towards me, calling me a crybaby and blaming me for calling the meeting when she was the one that told there were people speaking ill about me to her. And Toriano gave her the directive to call the meeting, not me. Gloria spoke first and started off acting as if she didn't know my name and then saying whatever you call her type thing. Acting like she couldn't pronounce my name and then now I'm a whatever you call it. Gloria mentioned that she was trying to get people to respect me as a secretary. Okay, I didn't know nothing about none of that. I took notes while she was speaking, and when it was my turn to speak, I corrected her on how she should always address me and never less than what I informed her of. Okay, before I continued, I asked everyone in the Zoom to state their names and their position here on the Zoom, and this is what was stated. Lamar stated that he was there to participate. Jacinda stated she was there to participate. Tech Luti stated that he was an observer. Rayona stated that she was an observer. Jamil stated that he was an observer. El Ogun stated that he was an observer. Nab Inchector and Incher L stated that he was an observer. Janice stated she was an observer. Eva Halley L stated she was an observer. Arthemia stated that she was an observer. And Sistada attended later on. Toriano was not present, but he sent his flying monkeys to be present. No one admitted that they were there as an accuser. Not one. I then proceeded with explaining why this meeting was called and who ordered the meeting. Then asked, were there anyone on here that are my accusers? No one spoke up. I continued from there with belligerent interruptions from Gloria. After closing, I asked anyone if they had anything they wanted to say. Rayona stated that she did not know me but communicated with Gloria that I had a fiery way of communication. Could she be one of the accusers that nobody is speaking of? Nobody, And then Eva Haley L spoke with venom. She was angry. And I'm trying to figure out what is this? What's she angry for? Stating that I had a negative energy from the beginning. And I asked her, well, are you an accuser? And she said with anger that she didn't owe me nothing. She didn't owe me anything. So there you have it. People too cowardly to speak up. So now then Janice asked me if I was going to still be the secretary of Project Womb Code. And then why did I come to this meeting if I had a decision made already that I wasn't going to proceed as secretary? So I felt that this was an inconsiderate question to ask due to the fact of how I was treated behind my back and on that call. Now, why would anybody in their right mind stay in a toxic and abusive environment? Okay? Because last time I checked, I love myself too much. And I owe it to myself to protect my energy and my peace. And I will always do so without fail. And I do not owe anyone an excuse of why I do so. I don't give up my power to man or woman. That's a violation to spiritual law. I am not a needy woman. And I have always been very independent and responsible. I have senses that go beyond the common, and I have always been able to think for myself. I have the spirit of a trailblazer with natural leadership abilities. So, no accusers, but a lot of attacks and unfair treatment. I emailed Gloria, Toriano, Melissa, Darlene, I think I included Janice, maybe. And then I asked for the recording of that call. And guess what? My request went unanswered. Not one of them responded to my request or to my email. And they never sent me the recording. Then eventually Gloria removed me from the Womb Code group through Facebook. Okay. So now, April 2021, I began affiliation with an outside private platform with someone who made orgone energy batteries. I learned about this platform, which was ran by Maria, through Toriano. He mentioned her in a Bloodright Heirs group about a speaking engagement she was scheduled for, so I attended. And then from there, I joined her private platform that was designed for people on a self-healing journey. I paid a monthly membership and ended up buying an orgone energy necklace. Um, I began to feel subtle weird energy from Maria. And when I wore the necklace, I felt heavy energy on it, like anger. And I would have certain conflict incidents that would happen. So when I was violated by the police in February 2022, I had the necklace with me. So it was stolen by the police. However, the other remaining crystals I had from her, I got rid of them. Now, interactions with Reginald Fields Eld Bay of the Bloodright Heirs. Reginald Fields L. Bay worked directly with Toriano in the Bloodright Heirs, along with Alif, Timothy, Terrell, Jabir, Milton, to name a few. Milton Abron Bay, we're going to speak about him later in my interactions with him. My direct interactions with Reginald Fields L. Bay began around December 2021 when he announced a cannabis investment opportunity in the Facebook group, in the Bloodright Heirs Facebook group. I followed up with him to get more information because I was interested. So I ended up investing. Reginald and I exchanged energy verbally, and he hinted of a romantic interest, but that is all that it was to me, was just a hint, nothing really solidified. Our conversations were never explicit and were innocent in nature and more on a friendly basis. I developed respect and care for Reginald as I thought he did for me, but it was something off energetically. It was as if Reginald was trying to get information from me and share his information um, to make me comfortable enough to share my information with him. He would ask me about my car and the plate on it, my house and how I acquired it, and saying, oh, yeah, my plate, I got this type of plate on my car, and oh, yeah, I did this type of process on my home, and he would question me about my last situation, my last romantic situation, repeatedly, as if he wanted to see if I was telling the truth or not. Then he shared information pertaining to his, like I said, his plate on his car, his house, his last marriage, and what he experienced in that marriage, and his court details pertaining to his divorce proceedings. We talked daily and often until the early mornings. Reginald was pleasant with our interactions, which I respected him for, respecting my boundaries. I explained to Reginald and was very clear that I was celibate and had been since my last relationship and would remain in that status until my union, i.e., marriage, with my divine counterpart. So now, with the investment, Reginald was an elite member, which meant let me go back. Reginald was an elite member with Kylan Coleman's in cannabis investment opportunity under Carbon Farms and Retreat LLC and Superwoman Productions LLC. Okay. He was an elite member, which meant being an elite member, you had to bring in at least 10 people up under you, and you would have the opportunity to earn commission based on the number of people you brought in. Reginald was one of the highest paid investors, by the way, if not the only, with the Bloodright Heirs having a predominant presence, per what Reginald said. This investment opportunity was with, like I said, Kylan Coleman of Carbon Farms and Retreats LLC and Superwoman Productions LLC based in Oklahoma. I invested and too became an elite. The investment consisted of signing a 12-month contract to with an initial investment payment and then a monthly fee for maintaining your cannabis investment with the guaranteed return on investment at the end of the 12-month contract. So I contracted under 4 different contracts, bringing in a total of 10 contracted people and or entities, which was the minimum to be an elite. Reginald began to work very closely with Kylan. Reginald made a move to Oklahoma a few months later and later became her co-COO per Reginald. Midsummer of the contract, I started seeing signs of dishonesty within her organization and her actions and the people that worked with her. The contract was already breached for several reasons, and Kylan would take money for raffles that were never held. I paid for a raffle ticket that never took place. And when I reached out to Kylan and her staff about it, it was never rectified. Kylan had Reginald contact me around May of 2022 because he said Kylan had him contact me and said he would follow up with me regarding the matter, with the raffle. And he never did. When I spoke about what I was seeing, I was red zoned. As usual, when you come with the truth, that's to be expected. I'm used to that. However, when it came time for a payout of the return on investments, there was no return on investments. So the contracts were breached even farther. Kylan owes me over $14,000 total for all of my contracts. She owes my heirs over $3,000 each, and that is just us. She owes thousands to other investors as well. Reginald's silence may be associated with him receiving his return on investment along with others associated with him, such as Asanta L., Simeon L., Gloria Oliver L., Ann War, etc., and others. So Kylan upheld several Zoom calls to keep the people at bay, and when that no longer worked, she disappeared and moved from Oklahoma. I was informed around August 2023 by an Oklahoma official that the police verified her farm as looking abandoned. So she had already moved as she was conducting these Zoom meetings. She is being investigated for fraud currently. Several people have emailed me naming, well, I'm not going to go through the naming of them, on Kindland's behalf to try to get information regarding what actions I have taken regarding this matter. Let me add to this that her business was no longer registered with the state of Oklahoma for some time now. She was still using an attorney's address that was no longer her resident agent, as confirmed by them since I think it was like the summer of 2020. Did they say? I think because I think they made this statement in like January of 2023 or something like that, that they were no longer her resident agent, like midsummer of 2022 or something like that. And her cannabis license with the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority was 4 year long. So it was due to expire August 2022, which it did. And she didn't, renew it, of course, because she wasn't there anymore. So the license, like I said, was just good for a year. Her website eventually was no longer up. She claimed to have paid out over 6 figures of ROIs, return on investments, in December of 2022, but with no proof of this taking place or no one speaking out to confirm that they received their ROI with proof if this took place. I wonder who was a part of this 6 figure payout. I do have recordings of these Zoom meetings to confirm what her and her crew were saying. And on January the 4th, 2024, around 11:33 p.m., an email from Kylan or from someone on her behalf came through to me and two of my heirs. And I'm going to read that